Hey everyone, let's talk about April 25th. You know, on the surface, it probably seems like just another day on the calendar, right? But in the history of mathematics, this date is, well, it's a huge deal. Any idea why?
So what's so special about this one day? Is it, I don't know, a famous mathematician's birthday, an anniversary of some big discovery? Nope. It's actually something much, much bigger than that.
Because on this exact same date, but in totally different centuries and in different parts of the world, a few brilliant minds came along and completely changed everything. Let's meet them one by one.
Okay, so our first stop takes us all the way back to the 1700s, where one simple question ended up changing the course of science forever.
Think about it. We check the weather report, we see the temperature, we all know that water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. But have you ever stopped to ask why? Why that specific number? Who came up with that?
Well, the answer to that question takes us straight back to our special date, April 25th, 1744. And it introduces us to a man named Anders Celsius.
Celsius came up with this absolutely brilliant idea. He took two fixed points that anyone, anywhere could find, the freezing point and the boiling point of water. Then he just divided the space between them into exactly 100 steps, or degrees. And just like that, for the first time ever, scientists all over the world could measure temperature in the exact same way. It was like creating a universal language for heat and cold.
And that's the crucial point here. Without a common, universal scale like that, scientific progress would have been incredibly slow. Can you even imagine trying to compare experiments from different countries if everyone was using a different thermometer?
All right, so that's our first story. But let's fast forward. Same date, April 25th, but many years later. We're jumping to a different country where a brand new problem needed solving. Let's go to 1879.
Now, what I find really fascinating about our next mathematician is his incredible ability to take really difficult, complex ideas and make them simple enough for everyone to understand. I mean, think about the math textbooks you've used. They take these incredibly tough concepts and break them down for us. But who is the first person to write a book like that? And could the same kind of math also unlock the secrets of, say, how a massive metal airplane manages to fly?
You guessed it. The answer once again connects back to April 25th, this time in 1879, and to a mathematician by the name of Edwin Wilson.
See, Edwin Wilson was a true multi-talented genius. First, he wrote one of the very first modern advanced calculus textbooks in America, making these high-level ideas accessible. Then, he took that same math and used it to study aerodynamics, basically the science of how planes fly. And as if that wasn't enough, he also applied statistics to help improve public health. The man was everywhere.
It just goes to show you, right? A great teacher, or even just a single great textbook, can literally change millions of lives by making the complicated simple.
One date, so many incredible stories. And for our last one, our journey now takes us to India and to the year 1978.
And this last story, it's almost like a detective mystery. Seriously, it's one that completely rewrites the history books as we know them.
Okay, so in school, we all learned that Isaac Newton was the father of calculus, right? But what if that's not the whole story? What if there's a hidden chapter to that story, an Indian chapter? Let me introduce you to the man who found the answer. He was an Indian mathematician named C.T. Rajagopal, who, incredibly, passed away on this very same day, April 25th, 1978.
C.T. Rajagopal was basically a math detective. He dove into the history books, and through his research, he proved that the core concepts of calculus, things like the infinite series for sine and cosine, were actually discovered in Kerala, India. And get this, they were discovered by a mathematician named Madhava, nearly 200 years before Newton and Leibniz. That's a huge deal.
It's such a powerful reminder that knowledge really doesn't have any borders. It belongs to the whole world. And sometimes the greatest stories are just sitting there, waiting to be rediscovered.
Okay, so we have a Swedish astronomer, an American textbook author, and an Indian mathematical historian. What on earth could possibly connect these three people? Let's bring it all together.
So we've met Anders Celsius, Edwin Wilson, and C.T. Rajagopal, all linked by this one day, April 25th. But they lived in different centuries, in different countries, working on totally different problems. So what's the real connection here?
It's this. They all asked the exact same fundamental question. They looked at the world around them, at all its chaos, and asked, what is the hidden pattern here? Celsius found a pattern in temperature,
Wilson found a pattern for teaching complex ideas, and Rajagopal found a hidden pattern in history itself. And because they dared to ask that question, our world was changed forever.
So, I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you come across something that seems confusing or chaotic, just stop and ask yourself that same question. What is the hidden pattern here? Because you never know. The next great discovery could be yours.